Lives Matter that got your attention, the Chief's attention, the Premier's attention, them wanting to meet publicly, do you take that as sincere, or is that just another tactic you think to just keep heat on?
It's hard for me to know. I can't impute intentions to them. I will say this. First of all, and this has been little reported to the point when I heard about it, I wasn't even aware of it, and I've kept pretty closely apprised of this file. The Chief of Police in Toronto has made set two specific dates for meetings with Black Lives Matter, and in both of which Black Lives Matter did not attend. He set 2 dates, one in January and one in February. And so that, I've not really seen that written up much as part of the record, but he wanted those to be private meetings. I have, as you know, I think, and you can count the emails, I think it's 5 times written to them and said, I will meet with you privately. So they've said no to those private meetings, and I fully respect their right to do that. I've now adopted a different approach because I view these issues, which have been raised by them and by many other people as well in the community, as being important enough that I'm convening a group of community leaders this weekend, and I've invited the Chief of Police to attend that meeting to begin discussions aimed at ultimately having a larger public forum to which Black Lives Matters would be welcome to be included. But I'm moving ahead to have this meeting because I want to begin to understand these issues better from the perspective of community leaders who can help me with that, and to take action on it, and to convene a broader public forum. And since they wouldn't meet privately, then we're just having this meeting without them. But that's their choice, and as it was their choice, I guess, not to go to 2 meetings that have been offered and dates specifically set and times with the Chief of Police.
But Mayor Tory, just with that meeting, can you just give us a bit of an update as to, have you sort of finalized the list of who will be coming to the meeting? And
yes, and those invitations are just being sent, I think this morning, if they weren't sent late yesterday. I'll be putting out a statement that really just encapsulates the content of the invitation in terms of what we're trying to achieve out of the meeting. And so that will be made available to you, I think, this morning if it hasn't already been. And the invitations will be out to the people. And what we tried to do was to get some names that you will know as people who are, better known leaders in the Black community in particular. But also I asked that it be a majority of younger people, because I think some of the trust issues that have arisen in particular have been with younger people in the community. And I want to hear from them, because this is also, it's going to be their city for longer than it is mine in the context of my status as a citizen, because I'm a lot older. And I want to hear from them as to sort of their particular perspective on this and so on. And the advice we're getting is aimed at, yes, beginning the substantive discussion of issues related to a number of areas of discrimination and disrespect, and also lack of opportunity, because I think there's a suite of issues to be dealt with here, but also aimed at sort of saying, well, all right, how can we best address those in a rational, constructive way in a public forum? I am not interested. I mean, when I say I'm not interested, I don't think it will accomplish very much to have something that degenerates into a circus. This is not going to advance the interests of eradicating discrimination and advancing the interests of young people and other people who are struggling. And so that is why I want to get advice on how we can move this forward, and that's what I hope to do on Saturday.
Just following that up, Mayor, last time you spoke about this, you had said that normally you would have a private meeting and you would set sort of who the members and the expectations and whether future meetings would be public or private. When I spoke to Black Lives Matter afterwards, they said that's the first time that you'd ever heard raising a public meeting as being part of the dialogue, and maybe there was some wiggle room and opening there. Have you talked to them, or is there a possibility of something?
Yeah, look, you'll see when the statement comes out that really is a mirror of the content of the letter of invitation or the email of invitation to the people for Saturday, that I've said that part of the advice I want to seek from this group on Saturday is how do we go forward into some kind of a public setting that can be constructive and rational and inclusive. And I specifically reference Black Lives Matters and say this could be an event that will happen, this public event later, that could include them. And so I'm saying the same thing. But I just, first of all, I mean, and I'll be very, very candid about this. I mean, I don't believe this is an appropriate issue in which to suggest that there is one group, any group, that group or any other, that is to be the sole spokesperson for a very complicated, very challenging issue. And that is why I wanted to make sure that when we move to a more public setting, that we do it in such a way that it can be inclusive of a lot of people who have points of view on this very important issue. I have said many times, and I mean it from my heart, when you are the most diverse city in the world, there are special responsibilities that go with that in terms of making sure you make an extra special effort to make sure discrimination is not taking place systemically or otherwise in your city, and that everything we do takes account of the fact this is a very unique place. And so I want to develop a process that can happen, partially in private, but also in public, so people can see that the issues are being discussed. They can hear the points of view, plural, that are being put forward. And that is why I think it is important to develop this kind of more broad means of consulting and discussing and acting, as opposed to focusing in on any one group, any group.
Mayor Tory, this Police Services Board meeting today, you had asked Chief Saunders to come with a report on the recent violence and the numbers so far this year. What kind of conversation are you hoping to have at this meeting about the recent violence? What are you hoping to
Well, it's a difficult issue for us because, and I left that meeting to come here, and I've got to go back because I suspect normally this is the time of the meeting at which he would be giving exactly the report I asked for. But what's difficult is this. He's in a position to share with us in our confidential portion of the meeting some things that may not be wise for him to share with the public, in the sense that if they're looking into certain of the root causes for this level of violence and so on, that he can do that. And so then it puts all of us in an awkward position, me, because you'll say to me, well, what did he say? And you'll ask him what he said, and so on. But I think it is important for the board, I felt it was important for the board, more so than for me as the mayor, a non-policing expert, to speculate on what's going on, that he should tell us from his perspective as best he can what's going on. And so I can't really answer your question except to say that I'm looking forward to hearing his perspective on this in terms of the resources that he has to apply to it, the nature of the criminal activity and who's doing it and how they're doing it and where they're doing it. And if something comes out of that we can assist with, recognizing he has the operational responsibility for running the police service, then obviously that would be something we would be talking about.